So guys, what if Naruto heart broken by Ophis in High School movie? Magicians. While every kind of supernatural beings are capable of learning magic, only the humans can become a magician. Although often overlooked due to their lower capacity in magic than the other factions, they are still considered to be one of the most important association in the human world. Not only because of their ability to learn all different kind of spells, but also because of their ability to make contracts with different factions, thus allowing them to use the magic that said creature they would make contract with. As such, if one of the three factions decided to go to war, it is likely that they would make an alliance with the magic association first, not only due to their numbers but also due to their versatility and their ability to learn all kinds of different magic that could be considered as beneficial during said war. While considered as an important faction, a magician's worth would be the amount of their magical energy and their capacity to learn powerful and deadly spells. As such, when a magician decided to make a contract with a supernatural being, they would be given a test. What it would be will be up to the person they wanted to make a contract with. If they fail, they will not get the contract. In the supernatural world, there are several mage guilds. Some of them are rogue guilds and some of them are part of a mythology or part of the three factions. As such, it is common to see one of these guilds to clash against one another, while rare it still happens from time to time when a disagreement happens. And at this moment, one certain faction that was leading a certain mage was having a debate about a certain someone. I have received an important notice from the high priest about a certain mage that works for us. A handsome man with long blonde hair and bright green eyes wearing a white priest robes calmly stated as he sat on a chair in front of a massive table within a massive room filled with nothing but white. I don't understand why you have to call an emergency meeting just because of this. An elderly man with silver hair and long white beard with crimson eyes wearing the same priest robes responded with a raised eyebrow while having his fingers interlock. Indeed, what is so special about this mage that you have to inform us about him taking a request from the request board? It is there for a reason after all. The next one who spoke was a man who seems to be on his late 20s with silver hair and crimson eyes that held a sharp yet stern look to them, and unlike everyone sitting in front of the table, he was wearing a pure silver armor instead of priest robes. The man sitting in the middle let out a tired sigh while sending a look towards the person sitting on the other end of the table, looking sheepish with an embarrassed smile on her face. The woman seems to be on her early 20s with long curly blonde hair that shines as if it has been dunked in a tub full of golden glitters, her bright green eyes looking away in embarrassment as her pristine milky white skin and flawless cheek was burning hot from embarrassment. It is not about the quest that he took that worried me so, it is the one who took the quest that really worried me. The man let out another tired sigh while everyone gazes at him with raised eyebrows. What request was it anyway? This time it was a woman who spoke. She appears to be on her early 20s just like the other beautiful woman. Although while the other woman has the look of innocence and naivety, this person has a stern and mature look to her, yet still held some childish innocence in them with a small hint of mischievousness in them. She has long flowing grayish white hair that is currently tied in a drill. She has bright blue eyes resembling the sky. On top of her head is a massive crown-like hat with black frills on them. Her outfit is what could be considered as inappropriate for their race due to its indecency. It is a white one-piece sleeveless dress that resembles a magical girl outfit and stopped at her upper thigh, revealing a lot of her milky white flesh. If she even tried to bend, it is guaranteed that her undergarments would be completely visible. Of that everyone has no doubt. On her hands was a white gloves that simply ends on her palm. On her feet was a long white boots that stopped just above her knees. It's a capture quest. A Leviathan escaped from the familiar forest and a request was sent by the devil community to capture it alive and send it back to the familiar forest. The blonde man responded as he glances at the paper lying in front of him. Capture Leviathan, rank S, reward 20 million alive, 5 million dead. Why do we take request from those devils anyway? The silver-haired young man scowled at the thought of them working for the devils. We do not really have a choice, Metatron. We need the funds for the church and we aren't exactly the richest faction right now. The other elderly man responded with a tired sigh. Uriel is right, Metatron. I also do not like it, but there is nothing we can do about it. We need the funds to keep the church running. Michael responded with a small frown on his handsome features before the white-haired woman responded to his earlier answer to her question. So that is the request. I am sure the one who took it would be more than capable enough to handle it, because I doubt Griselda will just let anyone take the request. So who was it, Dulio? Michael shook his head while glaring at the other blonde sitting on the other side of the table, who looked like she wanted to get out of there as soon as possible, or that hoping that ground would open and swallow her whole. No. Then who? The white-haired girl narrowed her eyes while the others started sweating with their face paling when they saw the look on the Michael's face as they started to realize who Michael was talking about. Naruto Uzumaki. At the mention of that name, Everyone went silent as the whole heaven came into a grinding halt. Even the angels who was outside of the massive castle froze as if they felt something horrible is about to happen. Then as if a bomb has been dropped, the white-haired girl immediately jumped out of her seat with a pale face. Then what are you waiting for? Send the emergency units now. We need to evacuate the people out of that place as soon as possible. Right. This time Metatron jumped in with his face incredibly pale and sweating profusely. We need to send Griselda or Dulio, maybe Martha too. No, let's send all of them. Now. My God. Father. Save us all. The elderly man who was calm and collected earlier was now panicking and on a verge of having a heart attack while kneeling on the ground with his hand clasped as if on a prayer. Michael sent a look towards his sister, Gabriel, who was now looking on with a small trail of sweat going down from her cheek to her chin. Aren't you all overreacting? Gabriel commented only to squeak in embarrassment when everyone turned towards her with furious glares. Overreacting. The last time he went on a quest, if I remember correctly, which is only 2 weeks ago, a quest where he should be helping the farmers in a certain country fertile their lands and help them grow their crops. Instead of growing a vegetable field, he grew an entire forest filled with man-eating monster plants the size of a skyscraper. Metatron responded with his voice turning shrill with veins bulging on his neck and forehead. And might I remind you, that the quest he took a month ago where he was to capture the escaped megalodon from the familiar forest, instead of capturing it he turned it into a shark soup because he was hungry. Not only that, he even destroyed half of the city in the process of capturing it, and when we asked what he got to say for himself, all he said was, whoops. Metatron raged on as he kept on informing Gabriel of all the missions that Naruto went through, and all of them ended up in a destruction of a city or creation of outrageous man-eating plants, and he even listed the amount they had to pay just to recompense all those people. Meanwhile, Gabriel was scratching her head in embarrassment, something that she had taken from Naruto whenever he was nervous about something, while Michael was looking at her with a smug smile on his face. I told you, he mouthed, and to his amusement his sister merely sent him a cute glare. Anyway. Michael, do something about this. Metatron ordered with his face incredibly pale while Michael nodded his head. I already sent an emergency group that would evacuate the civilians out of there, Michael responded. The moment he had received the report from the amused Dulio, he immediately formed a squad of his most elite soldiers to head to where Naruto is and make sure that the damage would be lesser than what it should be, or they'll be punished. He cannot exactly punish Naruto, as destructive as he is due to his outrageous amount of magic energy. He is one of the most valuable assets that the church has due to the boy being a genius. When they had picked him up as a baby who was strangely in the middle of the forest, they had never expected him to grow up a genius magician who created thousands of spells. While great, it has a massive disadvantage due to the boy not knowing what the word restraint means. And it also reinforced by the fact that the boy had created spells that was only destructive. -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0. Meanwhile, while the heaven is in chaos, another group of people was having the same meeting, unaware yet of the upcoming disaster that will soon befall them. So, have you sent the request to the guild, Saratan? A handsome man who seems to be on his mid-20s asked with a goofy smile on his face, his blood-red hair and greenish-blue eyes standing out more than his own strange armor-like outfit. Yup. A woman who seems to be in her early 20s despite looking like a middle school student due to her short height, if not because of her huge breast, nodded enthusiastically, her magical girl-looking outfit shuffling as she squirmed on her sit. I've sent the request and made sure not to forget to put the rank this time. That's good. The last time you sent a request you forgot to mention the rank, and we received quite a bad feedback because of that due to the exorcist almost dying during that mission. I do not wish to bother them for their help, but right now we cannot afford to send more devils right now, so there is nothing we can do but hire mages and exorcists from the church. The one who spoke this time is a man with slick back green hair, has the aura of a scientist, and it wasn't too far-fetched due to the white doctor robes he wore. Indeed, I heard that Azazil too was sending requests to the church to do things for him. Although it was causing friction to their factions, since there are those who clearly do not agree to getting help from the church, even they are paying them, but they too cannot afford to waste too much manpower, and it's not like they are having financial shortage like the church. The other one responded with a tired look in his eyes while having a wry smile on his face. Of course the devils also did not like that they are asking for the angels' help, but at this moment they cannot afford to send their men to do such menial task. And there are even dangerous ones in there, so they cannot afford to send them to get killed, which would surely lower their numbers more. The other reason they are helping the angels by sending requests and paying money instead of hiring mercenaries is because as much as the other devils hates the angel factions, if the angel factions disappears, then the sense of balance in their world will be in disarray. And without a doubt the other groups such as the other gods and Buddhas will surely capitalize on it by trying to claim heaven as their own, and with that it would disrupt the balance and would no doubt start another war due to the fallen angels feeling as if not only had they been expelled from their home also would felt robbed of it. Anyway, what was the request anyway, Sarah Tan? The red-headed man asked with a tilt of his head while the magical girl outfit wearing girl rubs her head sheepishly. A Leviathan escaped from the familiar forest and I sent a request for it to be sent back. Seraphal Leviathan, the current Leviathan and one of the four mouths governing the underworld, responded to the question that has been asked by Seer's ex Lucifer, the current Lucifer and the supreme leader of the underworld. Oh, did the church send a notification to who took the request? Ajuka Beelzebub asked with his leaning on his fist. Seraphal looked down on the note sent from heaven and her face immediately went pale when she saw the name of the person who took the quest. Sarah Tan. Seer's ex looked on with worried gaze towards Seraphal while Ajuka was narrowing his eyes, not liking the look of complete horror on Seraphal's face. It did not bode well. It's common courtesy that when someone took the quest, the one who gave it will personally hand the reward to the one who took it. As such, the one who took it will be welcome to the home of the person who sent it, and the one who received the contract should not be harmed in any way, right? Seraphal asked with shaky breath while the other three gazed at her with suspicion and worry due to how she was acting. Who was it? Seraphal. Seer's ex used Seraphal's full name instead of the affectionate nickname due to the serious and tense atmosphere she was excluding. Naruto Uzumaki. After hearing those words come out of Seraphal's mouth, the three other mouths immediately jumped to their feet with a look of horror on their face. Code Red. We must inform the others. I'll proceed to set up countermeasure plans immediately. The other three mouths was running around the room like a headless chicken. Even the normally composed Ajuka and the lazy and always sleeping Falbium was now fully awake and on the verge of having a heart attack. Seraphal. You must inform the others and send a message to your sister. We need to gather everyone as soon as possible. We need to strengthen the defense of the underworld once Naruto arrives. What are we going to do? Evacuate. We must evacuate everyone as soon as possible. From outside, after hearing the commotion, a silver-haired attractive woman with gray eyes wearing a gray French maid outfit immediately rushed in and the scene that greeted her almost left her in shock. What in the world is going on in here? Graphia Lucifuge, the queen of Serzh's peerage and the strongest maid in the underworld who had been serving under Seerzex after the defeat of the old Satan factions, looked on in shock at the current spectacle of the three mouths while seeing Seraphal looking on the verge of a heart attack. Here, like a broken robot, Seraphal handed Graphia the notice and once reading it her face immediately went pale and the word that came out of her mouth summarized her whole reactions and how she felt about it. Oh shit. -0 -00 to 0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -00 to 0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 -0 to 0 -0 -0 In the middle of thick and foggy forest, a lone young man could be seen walking with a massive grin on his face. The young man has the appearance of a person who seems to be on his mid-teens. He has neck-length blonde hair with a pair striking blue eyes and 6 whiskers-like markings on his cheeks, 3 on each. On top of his head was a black witch hat with spiraling orange circle on it. He was wearing a burnt orange long-sleeve shirt with a logo of a black devil with horns and whiskers on it. On his arms was an elbow-length black gloves and his pants was a black adventurer pants accompanied by black shin-length boots, and on his shoulder was a black shoulder cape with a collar resembling of that of vampire collars. A white pouch was hanging on his side. Man. This is such a nice job. 20 million just to capture an escaped beast from the forest of familiars, 10 million to me and 10 million the church. Not a bad deal. Wouldn't you agree, Chomusuke? The blonde boy said with a grin send towards his companion who was floating besides him. It was a cute black cat with bat wings and a red cross shape, markings on its forehead. It has stubby legs and she has big round head and oval yellow eyes. UMU. The cat nodded her head as if she understood what he was saying, and if the intelligent shine to its eyes was any indication, then it is possible that it really understood him. You want some seafoods? Sure, but you just that megalodon we just caught a few weeks back, right? The blonde asked with a raised eyebrow while the cat nodded its head. Alright then. Anyway, it is classified as S rank, so this Leviathan must been really strong. Man, I can't wait to test my new spells against this thing. Hehe, I wonder how long would this one last. Naruto Uzumaki. The mage dubbed as the most destructive one and given the epithet as the destructive mage and the crazy one is now on his way towards the lake where the Leviathan took refuge. A mile away where the Leviathan is, it shuddered and felt like it just signed its death sentence by escaping the forest of familiars. What is this unshakable dread that I am feeling? Thought the Leviathan, unaware of the oncoming disaster that is heading towards its way. I wonder if this should be enough. One Naruto Uzumaki muttered with a grin on his face while inserting bullets inside the bullet holes of his magnum bulldog, affectionately called as the Magnum from Hell by those who have seen its effect. Naruto Uzumaki is a short golden blonde-haired boy standing at mere 5 feet 3 with spiky hair that resembles a lion's mane. He has a pair of striking yet very mischievous blue eyes that goes along well with his shiny hair. His whiskered cheeks was stretched due to his massive grin. Oh well, I'm sure it will be enough. Maybe this time I'll get to fire more than just one bullet, he muttered with a blissful grin while staring at his gun with an affectionate look in the way he was rubbing it as he inserts strange green bullets in it that has strange markings and a word that says, explosive rounds. The explosive rounds was just simply normal bullets that has been enchanted with Naruto's magic, but due to the explosive amount of magic that Naruto had putted into it, those who had seen it has secretly started calling it the nuclear bullets, due to its massive range and the powerful explosion that it unleashed when fired. Maybe coming here is a bad idea. Maybe I should just return to the apartment, thought the flying black cat while shaking tremendously when she saw how her master was affectionately inserting those dangerous rounds inside his hell gun, and cooing at it along the way. Originally, Naruto would usually use a sword or a staff to act as his magic conduit, but he had been banned on using those due to how destructive he could be whenever he unleashes a spell. As such, he decided to use a magically built gun as a magic conduit and magically made bullet. When everyone thought that he'll be less destructive due to a gun not being that much destructive compared to magic and holy swords, he proved them wrong when he sank a whole island after firing a bullet he affectionately called atomic bullet. When the church saw its effect, they immediately banned him from using it but did not say anything about creating a new kind of bullet similar to that one. So her master, with his infinite knowledge and infinite stupidity, created another bullet that has become the well-known explosive round, or as the other calls it, the nuclear bullets. The only being who had lived after being hit by the nuclear bullet is a certain dragon, but even then the dragon became traumatized and decided to hole himself in the gap and refused to come out. He even gave her master a nickname, the Crazy One, and the fish cake of apocalypse. Click. Chomusuke turned to her master and saw that he was done with loading all of his insanity-made bullets and was now rubbing the gun affectionately and did not even care as they came out of the forest and was now standing in front of a lake where a massive serpentine creature was located. The creature greatly resembled a massive snake with the small features of a dragon. The serpentine creature has blue skin and white underbelly. It has 2 shimenawa, massive ropes used in temples I think, wrapped around its neck and has white fur acting like hair. It has glowing orange eyes and has blue horn on its head. Well, what are you puny creatures doing here in this goddess home? The massive serpent spoke in a booming voice while Naruto tilted his head and Chomusuke immediately went behind Naruto to hide, knowing what's going to come next. So you were calling yourself a goddess now? I thought the Leviathan is a demon? Once those words comes out of his mouth, the atmosphere immediately become tense and a massive killing intent washed upon the whole area. I was once a goddess before I was expelled by those perverted gods when I rejected their offers of becoming their toy. And now because of that I've become a devil. Argue made me remember the face of those disgusting perverts, as such you will pay. The serpent unleashed a hateful roar towards the heavens while Naruto merely tilted his head with a grin on his face. Before I've become Leviathan, I was called as Shirayuki Hime, the original goddess of the sea before that pervert Poseidon took it away from me. So, a devil? Naruto grins broadly with his head still tilted before Shirayuki Hime's orange eyes glance towards him with burning rage and full of evil intention. Boom. Chomusuke did not know what happened, but the massive forest behind them was suddenly turned into nothing but a massive crater, and the ground they were standing on has a huge trench in it. It seems like Shirayuki Hime shot a massive water beam at them, but her master's magic automatically created a barrier around them to prevent it from tearing them down to pieces. Brat, what did you do? The serpent looked at him with wide eyes, her anger now fully contained after seeing her attack suddenly disappeared. The one that destroyed the forest was not her own attack but something else, it only for a single second, but she was sure she felt a powerful force that absorbed her attack along with everything surrounding them. Naruto shook his head with a grin on his face that infuriated the goddess even more. Well, I'm not really the kind of person who keeps my techniques as a secret, so just to amuse myself I will tell you. Shirayuki-hime opened her mouth widely and unleashed a massive torrent of water acting as a beam that flew straight towards Naruto, who has a strange small black ball of pure darkness floating in front of him. For some strange reason it was absorbing the light surrounding it and then it collided, resulting in a massive explosion. It couldn't be. Yep. Naruto nodded at the shock expression of Shirayuki-hime. Before you even unleash your attack, I already felt the massive surge of energy from you, so before you could even fire it I already made some preparations and opened a black hole. He glances behind him and a small trickle of sweat fell down from his cheek to his chin. Oh, the church is going to nag at him for this again. Although, I did not expect for the black hole to also suck the surrounding forest around us. To say that Shirayuki-hime was floored would be an understatement. She was so shocked that her mouth opened widely and her jaw was almost touching the seawater below her. For this boy to be able to make a black hole as small as it may be, it would need a considerable amount of magic power that not even the ultimate class devils have. So for this boy to do so without even showing a little strain means that this boy is far above those beings. Who are you? Oh, I haven't introduced myself yet. Naruto looked shocked at her question while Shirayuki-hime nodded her head. Seeing her expression he shrugs his shoulder and introduced himself with a grin on his face. Well, my name is Naruto Uzumaki and I am the mage who was sent to bring you back. Naruto Uzumaki. After hearing those words she felt her heart skip a beat and immediately swoon. And after confirming his appearance her eyes immediately rolled to the back of her head and fell down with a loud thud and a small tremor. Once she realized that she was facing against the boy of terror, she immediately lost consciousness. After all, even in the forest of familiars his name and his achievements are all well known. Every parents would tell their naughty children stories about the boogeyman, whose fart is powerful enough to cause an apocalypse. It is also why all the familiars always held an annual meeting on how to prevent the boy of terror from entering the familiar of forest or what to do when he is in front of you. The answer that they will always come up with is to do nothing but pretend that you have fainted and hope for the best. Although this time Shirayuki-hime was not pretending to be unconscious as she really did faint. After all, she was a big fan of Naruto Uzumaki due to a certain event that happened a year ago, where it involved a certain sea god and a humiliating prank that turned the god into becoming a shut-in. Well, that was anticlimactic. Naruto commented with a blink before pouting while glancing at his pistol, and I wasn't even able to use this. I think that was for the best, master. As if hearing Chomusuke's thoughts he responded. But that is not fun. It is not fun if there is no boom, or any kind of explosions, there is no destruction. He stomped his feet on the ground while looking at Chomusuke with a pout. Chomusuke glanced behind her with dull eyes, and this is not destruction? It doesn't count. I wasn't even able to see boom, instead just smoke and stupid water. Just let it be, you can do it next time. She hoped there is no next time though. No. It would not do. I know. An evil grin crept on Naruto's face as he glances at Shirayuki-hime. No one is spying at us, we'll just say that she was too stubborn and refused to come back with us, so I shot her. Yes, that is right, let's go with that. Chomusuke immediately bit on the hand of her cackling master to prevent him from doing anything rash. No, master. If you do that we'll be in so much trouble. We have to resort on eating foods we picked up from the forest because all of our money and rewards was sent to the place you destroyed. I want to be able to sleep on a bed this time and eat warm meal. No, get away, Chomusuke, even just one. Just one, let me shoot just one. It would take another 30 minutes before they come to an agreement that Naruto will be free to shoot as many bullets as he wants when they enter the gap. Within the gap, for some strange reason Great Red suddenly felt a chill that went down his scaly spine. Oh, he's coming. Standing on top of the watchtower situated near the gate of Lilith, Searsx Gremory yelled after he spotted the figure of one Naruto Uzumaki walking on the road heading straight towards them. Each step the boy takes felt like an unstoppable calamity that they cannot escape. All of the bishops and queens, prepare to cast all of your most powerful barriers and cover the whole Lilith along with the houses. We know that we cannot really prevent him from going inside, so our job is to make sure the damage is as less as possible. This time it was the panicking Ajuka who shouted to the army of bishops and queens standing near the gate or hiding inside the houses while preparing to cast their most powerful defensive magics. They weren't going to attack Naruto. If they do, it would surely end up with them going into war with the heavens due to him being incredibly valuable to them. Despite being a headache, what they are planning to do is to cast a defensive barrier around the city and the houses, so when Naruto went in and someone pisses him off, the destruction that he would unleash would be greatly lessened. Why would someone would dare to piss the walking apocalypse? Well, because even thought they knew how powerful and destructive he is. There are still those stupid idiotic devils out there who believes themselves to be superior and, Since Naruto is a human, they believe themselves to be far superior to him, as such they ignores everything they know about him and would start belittling him. The last one who did that, Riser Phoenix, if he remembers correctly, despite it being 3 years ago, the Phoenix boy was still actively taking some medication and counseling advice due to him having a PTSD. After all, it is not every day you experience a whole ostrich being forcefully shoved inside a man's anus. Due to that, the boy would immediately shat himself whenever he hears Naruto's name, and due to this incident and this humiliation he had been forced to drop his marriage contract with a certain Gremory heiress due to him being exiled from his family because of the shame he had brought to them. If he remembers correctly, the man turned gay and was now a dancer in a gay bar for old monks. Shaking his head, Ajuka decided to focus himself towards the calamity that was heading straight towards their location. God help them all. In a place where the sky is gold and the golden cloud is glowing, 2 people could be seen surrounded by tall mountains and massive lakes. Flying above the sky are all kind of winged creatures, and along with one gigantic and long golden serpentine-like dragon with horns on its head. The first one is standing, and from its silhouette, despite being covered with nothing but light, it was completely obvious that the person is a woman due to her shapely figure, while the other person kneeling on the ground have the figure of a young child. The child appears to be about 5 or 6 years old, with hair as bright as gold, eyes bluer than the sea, and 6 whiskers like markings similar to that of a fox. Golden trickle of water fell down from his eyes. Why? Why did it have to end like this? Why couldn't I save anyone? Because you are weak, you are powerless, you are a small insignificant insect who can do nothing but crawl on the ground hoping that someone would not step on you. As long as you are powerless, you will never be able to protect all those you care about, much less yourself. I want to become stronger. Why? So that I won't have to lose anyone ever again. No matter how strong one becomes, they would still not be able to save everyone else. I don't care. I will become strong and I will protect all of my precious people. That is simply childish thinking. I don't care if it's childish or anything. I don't want to lose anything else, so I will become strong. Do you really want to become strong? Yes. Even if you die? A moment of silence passed as the young boy looked down with his bangs shadowing his eyes. Once he looks up, his magnificent blue eyes are glowing with nothing but determination. Yes. A smile floated on the woman's face as she extended her hands towards the boy. Very well. I accept your determination. What? Stand up, boy, and take my hand, for I will make a man out of you. Oh, fuahaha. Naruto let out a blissful sigh as he chugged another mug of milk. As of right now, he was still within the devil's territory, the underworld, and right now he's inside of one of its many bars. After meeting the 4 mouths of the underworld, they instructed him head to this place and wait for them to bring the money while they are sending the Leviathan back to the familiar forest. When he arrived in this place, it was packed with tons of devils, but the moment he entered they immediately started hightailing away from the pub, leaving him and the shaking owner who was making milk on their own, though he didn't know why they ran away like bats out of hell though. Man, you look really young, yet you are shaking really badly. Are you perhaps really old and was only using magic to appear younger? Damn, devils are really awesome to look younger naturally despite being really old. Naruto said something rude, but the bartender did not do anything or responded in a way that shows he's angry. Fuck you. I'm just 23. I just don't want to die yet, thought the bartender, who looks the part, gorgeous white hair and flawless face, wearing a white long sleeve with the sleeves folded, black slacks and black shoes. He's currently pulling out another batch of milk from the fridge while shaking tremendously as if he was standing in the middle of North Pole while butt naked. Man. What's taking them so long? I'm getting bored. If this goes on, I might really go on a stroll to look for something to do. What do you think, Chomusuke? Are you up for it? At this the bartender froze as his whole features turned ashen white. He must do something or else something bad is going to happen. Listen to me, Decim. No matter what happens, you must not let him out of this room. You have to keep him occupied while we are finishing on the procedures and until we get him the money. You must not let anyone talk to him or annoy him. Do you understand me? The future of the underworld is in your hands. Is what Sears-sama said. Of all the places in the underworld, why does it have to be his bar that this freak of nature was sent to lodge to? He should be on the Sea Tree Manor due to them being the one who made that request. Well, maybe it was due to the barriers, 1,000 folds of barriers that surrounded his bar that the other devils casted as to prevent as much destruction as they can from happening when Naruto fly into rage. That damn bastard Mao. Of all the sacrificial goats he has to choose, why does it have to be me? When this is over and I am still alive, I'll rebel by becoming a priest, no matter how ridiculous it sounded. He let out a sigh of relief when he saw the black cat shook its head while busying itself by stuffing itself with bunch of different flavor of cakes and cookies. Oh well, you are so boring sometimes, you know that. Not really, you were just crazy. He heard the childish feminine tone of Chomusuke on his head. What she said made him pout. I am not crazy, you know for a fact that I have to cause damage and destruction once a day or else I'll be sick. Bullshit master. That's a lie and you know it. Naruto once again pouted before his eyes widened and a smile graced his features when the door swung open and Searsex came in with a case in his hand. Ah. Searsex my friend. What took you so long? Naruto immediately stood up from his stool and went towards Searsex. I was thinking of going into your house to see if something wrong happened. Searsex immediately paled at the thought. I'm so glad that I got here on time. Thought the red-haired before, breaking into cold sweat when Naruto slung his arm on his shoulder. Man. What's wrong buddy, why are you shaking terribly? And nothing. Searsex stuttered as he gently pried Naruto's arms off his shoulders and handed his the case there. You do not need to count it, I assure you it's 30 million euros. 30? I thought the deal is only 20. Well if you were being generous then sure I'll take it. Naruto slung the case on his back and started walking away anyway. I'm off, I'm going to go and pick up my new assistant. What happened to the last one? I don't know, he disappeared during my battle with that jerk of a devil. I think it was when I shot one of my atomic bullets back then. Is that so? You should go then. Take care, he was probably incinerated by that attack, but Searsex did not voice out his thoughts lest he upset him. Man. I hope that should be enough for him. I don't ever want him to come back here in the underworld. It's bad for my heart, thought Searsex, who was left unaware of the bitter smile on Naruto's face as he walks away. Sometimes being able to read one's heart is a terrible thing. Wah. So this is Japan. A young woman of age 16 or 17 could be seen standing outside of the airport with a wide smile on her face, unaware of the curious glances she was getting along with the guys who was staring at her with red faces wondering who this cute foreigner is. The girl has long blonde hair with the bangs parted in the middle of her bangs, a single strand sticking on top. She has a pair of vivid green eyes that perfectly match her blonde hair and cute face. She was wearing an outfit that nuns usually wear along with the hat that nuns wore. She's currently pulling on her suitcase with a bright smile on her face while trying to memorize the place. So this is where Naruto-sama is, she mumbled with a tilt of her head, just remembering their meeting makes her smile. It's the witch. Listen to me sweetie, no matter what happens do not ever go near that girl or you'll be corrupted and would be branded as a heretic, okay? The younger version of the girl could be seen walking the streets of Vatican with a small noticeable sad smile on her face with her eyes filled with loneliness. Leave witch. Don't you dare defile my shop with your dirty presence. A man from one of the stalls threw a tomato towards the girl who merely raised her hands up to shield her face. Bang. The tomato became nothing but a splattered mess before it could even reach the girl as a bullet went past it. Man. Since when did the people of Vatican become this violent? I only disappear for a year or two and you all are already like this. A young Naruto muttered with an annoyed frown on his face as a smaller version of Chomusuke floated behind him. Why you? The merchant who threw the tomato exclaimed with a shrill voice while shaking in terror as he glanced behind him and saw the boy pressing the barrel of his gun at his anus. I've never tried shooting someone on their anus before, but I guess there's always first time in everything. The man immediately paled after hearing the boy's crazy mumbles while the young girl was watching in shock. Bang. Ah. The man's eyes immediately rolled back as he fell down in an unconscious heap while foaming at the mouth. While the bullet he had shoot the man with is just a rubber bullet and is not capable of killing anybody, it was still painful, and to be shot at point blank with it made it more painful, and considering that the place he was shot with was one of the most sensitive part of the body is. It hurts like hell, and the fact that the bullet was still lodged on the man's anus made it more painful. Oh, he's going to have a bad case of constipation when he wakes up. Naruto glances at the young girl and let out a small grin, earning a small blush from her. Sup. That's when she first met Naruto, and since then he would always go to visit her in the church, and for some strange reason after first time being visited by Naruto, the priests and all the people in the Vatican immediately started treating her nicely, contrary to how they usually treats her, which is harshly. Even the angels in disguise in there started treating her with respect, as if they fear something bad will happen to them if they do something bad to her. Then Michael-sama came to me a few days ago telling me of my new job. I was really happy to be appointed as his assistant, she said to herself with a happy smile. Listen to me, Asia-chan. From this moment on you are no longer just a nun within the Vatican, but you are now a recognized exorcist and will be learning under the guidance of Naruto Uzumaki and will act as his assistant. You are by no means to leave his side and make sure that he will have everything that he needed, Michael ordered sternly, knowing that this girl is the only person in existence that could calm Naruto down whenever his strings got triggered. The calming aura of the girl is the only thing in the world that can stop him from doing crazy things. It might be un-angel-like of him to use her in such a way, but he really do not have any other choice. It is whether this or they let Naruto do everything he wants. The sake of the world lies within this girl's hands now. I am entrusting everything to you now, Asi Argento. No matter what happens, you have to keep Naruto in happy. With a bright smile on her face, Asia nodded her head. I understand. Not only she was being relied on, but now also have the chance to be with her first friend 24/7. I will do my best, I promise Naruto-kun. With that, Asia started heading towards the location where she knew Naruto would pick her up. He'll be so surprised to see her, she could hardly wait. Inside a plain dark room with nothing but a single round table with 4 chairs surrounding it, with nothing but candles with purple fire screaming villainous illuminating it, 4 persons are having a conversation about things in life. I have good news for you everyone. A voice clearly female echoed within the surrounding area, with the other 3 stiffening and leaning forward to listen to her. What is it, Rainier? This time another person cut in, but was also a female due to the feminine and seductive tone into it. This should be interesting, for you to gather the 3 of us here. This must be a really urgent news. This time a man spoke with a mocking chuckle. Indeed it is. I heard from one of our spies that our longtime target, the one holding the Twilight Gear, has finally left the Vatican and is now here in Japan. Whatever news they were expecting, this wasn't it, and their shock reaction spoke enough. You mean that girl? The one they dubbed as a witch and a heretic? The woman nodded her head with a smirk on her face, but due to how dark it was, no one could see her other than her companions who have night visions due to their race. Yes, it seems the church had finally decided to get rid of her and sent her here in Japan for us to take. Oh ho ho. I see they're lost, Argane, huh? Yes. Rainier nodded her head before sliding a picture towards her companions with an evil smirk. This is her picture. Oh. What a cute girl. She looks so much like an angel that it makes me sick. The other female, whom was silent till now, finally decided to voice out with her voice filled with disgust. My, she's just my type. Do you mind if I break her first before you extract the Twilight Gear? The man let out a disgusting smile while licking his lips. The 3 girls spare him a disgusted glance before shaking their heads. Do whatever you want, as long as you do not compromise our mission. Rainier scowled at him. And for some reason, my spy in the Vatican stopped sending me information years ago. Maybe he's just taking a break, the other woman suggested with a shrug of her shoulders. After all, it has been 10 years since you sent him there. He probably need a break or 2. Perhaps, but he is taking too long, so I will still punish him once he return. Rainier scowled in irritation before glaring at her companions. Now, I want you all to tail her as much as you can and be discreet about it, because right now she's within those 2 devil whores' territory. Do not compromise this mission. You got me? Yes, yes, sheesh, lay off, fiend, dismiss. Rainier dismissed them with a scowl as one by one they all disappeared through their own teleportation magic. For some reason I feel like this mission will not end well. Shrugging her shoulders, she decided to leave as well while ignoring the forbidding feeling at the back of her mind. Oh, sitting in an elegant chair inside the throne room of heaven is none other than Michael, the leader of the Seraphs and the one who is currently governing heaven. Fried Selzen, he muttered as he glanced at one particular report while sorting through the many documents sent to him by the devils, showing the list of quests that they achieved and quests that they yet to place at the mission board. What about him? Raphael, the white drilled-haired angel, asked with a tilt of her head. She heard of that name before, a promising exorcist with bad manners and loose mouth. She heard that he died during a mission. He's a spy sent by fallen angels. I sent him to be Naruto's assistant, hoping that Naruto will monitor him. Michael sighed once again while Raphael raised an eyebrow but did not look at him, as she was focused on her current simulation game where she's trying to create a harem of hot guys whom strangely had all blonde hair and blue eyes. Yeah? She hummed as her character started making out with the other blonde with spiky blonde hair and blue eyes. He accompanied Naruto on one of his many missions. I think it was the first time Naruto used his atomic bullets. Raphael shivered at remembering the destruction that bullet had done and how much it cost to repair the island and bring it back. He was caught by the explosion and he died. I see. She doesn't know what to say about that, so she simply grimaced while trying to distract herself by deciding to go on H route in her game, and right now her character is currently giving the blonde man what humans called a head. Poor kid, he might be a traitor but he does not deserve to have his soul be disintegrated just like his body. The reason they confiscated and forbidden Naruto from creating or using one again was because the atomic bullet was not only destructive enough to disintegrate anything but also erase the soul of all those it killed. Well, he deserve it. He's a traitor, so Naruto have done us a favor. Raphael shrugged her shoulders while Michael simply gazed at her with dull eyes, now seeing that his conversation partner wasn't focused at all in their conversation but instead her entire focus in her game. A game where all the characters are designed to look similar to Naruto. As crazy as the boy might be, he's still a very powerful being, and as much as he wants to deny it, power attracts, so suffice to say the boy has a massive fan club. One of these days, Michael thought with a shake of his head and simply returned to reviewing the reports. Oh, here ya go. 10 million for you, 20 million for me. Naruto sang with a grin on his face as he handed the suitcase to an old man he knew that is an angel in disguise, as right now the both of them are inside a church. Thank you, Uzumaki-san. The elderly man stuttered in fright as his shaking hand immediately clasped the case, and the moment Naruto let go of it, he immediately hightailed out of there by returning to heaven via teleportation. Man. These guys are always so stiff. Why's he shaking anyway? Naruto muttered while shaking his head. Maybe all the supernatural beings are all old people and simply disguising themselves as youthful people, that's why they are shaking. It made sense since this people has a very long history, thousands of years to be precise, and with their lifespans it would make sense that they are still alive but is now very old. Chomusuke shook her head with dull eyes. Why is my master so stupid? Well, it's time to go home. I received a report from Michael that a new assistant has come to help me. I hope this one don't suddenly disappear like the other one, muttered Naruto with a wide smile on his face while Chomusuke simply settled herself on his head while trying to ignore the muttering of her stupid master. Just another day in life with Naruto Uzumaki. Oh well, she wouldn't have it any other way. A tall man, proven by the fact that he has to duck lower than normal just to enter the curtains, who seems to be in his late 20s, entered a moderate yet homely stall that sells fast food and other kinds of easy-to-cook meal. The man has an average build but still managed to look attractive. He has messy black hair with golden bangs with black goatee. His outfit consists of a blue kimono with red obi wrapped around his waist acting as a belt. Oh, welcome dear customer. The man standing behind the counter politely greeted while wiping one of the glasses. Oh, it's just you. Once he looked up, his eyes immediately turned dull and the man suddenly looked bored. The man has messy white hair with his purple eyes looking similar to that of a dead-eyed fish. His outfit consisted of a white chef uniform with the sleeves rolled up to his elbows, black pants underneath and black apron and brown sandals. The man seems to be in his mid-40s. Now, that's just mean I am still a customer, you know. The visitor whined with a smirk on his face as he took a sit in front of the man wiping the glass. So, what is your order? The silver-haired man asked with a tired sigh. Sake for now. The younger-looking man waved his hand as if thinking about something. With a nod of his head, the older man turned back and picked a sake bottle from the cabinet and immediately handed it to the younger man alongside a sake cup. Since it has been a long time since you last visited, this one is on the house. Oh ho ho. How very nice of you. The younger man joyfully accepted the sake bottle and the cup. The older man simply nodded his head before his eyes turned deadly, removing the smirk on the younger man's face. Now, why are you here, Azazil? What is it you are trying to achieve by coming in here to meet me? The older man asked with a hint of edge on his tone while looking down at the now named Azazil coldly. If the now named Azazil noticed the hostility within the man's tone, he simply shrugged it off, but in reality he's trying his best to hide the fact that his back is full of cold sweat. It wouldn't do for him to lose his nerve in front of this man. I am here just to issue a warning. Azazil tried very hard to not gulp in nervousness when the room becomes suddenly colder as the man now started looking at him with open hostility. Oh? At the deadly tone that man used, Azazil could no longer withhold the shiver that traveled down his spine, though to his credit he managed to lessen it to the point of being a single twitch of his finger. There is something important that I have to do in this town. I understand that this town is a safe sanctuary for the key. At this, Azazil's words was halted as an intense feeling of dread started creeping on him while he started to visible sweat from the sudden increase of pressure that invaded the room. Choose your next words carefully, Azazil, or it might become your last. Gulp nodded his head. The general of the fallen race continued after taking another sip of his sake. He really needed this shit for this. Anyway, as I was saying, there is something that I must do here in Kuo, something very important. Is this related to my charge? No. Azazil shook his head. He hoped to God that it would not come to that point where the kid will be involved in this mess that one of his egotistical subordinates started. Then continue. Right, anyway, there is a rumor about a certain dragon started an organization consisting of all different kinds of supernaturals. As of right now, we do not know their goal, but one thing I am sure of. Whatever their plans are, it must not be good. Azazil took another whip of his sake while the bartender frowned. It is said that they are gathering all kinds of supernatural, as long as they are powerful. And you believe that you will find information about them in here? The bartender asked with a huge scowl. If that is true, then the young legacy needed a guard, preferable and unassuming but very strong one. Of course the young legacy has bodyguards stationed around him, always following him in secret, ready to jump in or take care of any trouble that would come his way or dispose of those who would try to harm him. I know I will. You sounded so sure there, because if my hunch is correct, then one of my stronger subordinates is in contact with them. While he is trying to be discreet about it, I can easily see through him. Subtlety is not his forte. Azazil sighed tiredly while the bartender nodded, already knowing who that is. And for some reason that guy had set his eyes on this town. I like to believe that the only reason he is here is because of those two devils, but... Azazil paused while looking at the bottle of sake with serious eyes. He dared not to look up as he was sure that the expression that the man was wearing is less than pleasing. Then I will just erase him before he can do anything. Grimacing, Azazil tried to reason with him. That guy is still my subordinate and one of my generals. I cannot let you do that just because of a wrong assumption. He argued with a scowl, and you are trying to baby the kid too much. Azazil froze the moment he looked up to glare at the man when he saw that his face was no longer of that a human, but now his face is that of a hyena complete with horns. Just like you are trying to protect your subordinate, I am also trying to protect mine. That I understand, but that is why I am here. I am investigating that reason why he decided to go after this place. At this the man's face simply morphed back into that of a middle-aged man. Very well. Investigate as much as you want. Hearing this, Azazil could not help but sigh in relief. Azazil, I have no quarrel with you, and whatever business you have in here, you are free to do so, but I do want you to remember. His eyes darkened as a threatening atmosphere filled the room, leaving the leader of the fallen to feel an intense chill down his spine. If anything happened to that kid because of you, the murderous aura intensified. You be sure to be ready for an intense storm that will head your way. Those guys would not be merciful. Those guys will move the world itself if it is meant protecting the legacy. Azazil could not help but swallow his words in fear. He had fought during the war and faced countless adversaries far stronger than him, yet with his wit he had managed to win. But this man in front of him is something that he will never ever dare to cross. Added the threat of that diabolical empire. Though it felt more like a cult if he was being honest, but he won't be speaking of that or lest he lose his tongue. It would be a miracle if the fallen race even survive at all. Do you understand me? The man implored with an intense edge in his tone. Crystal. Azazil could not help but nod his head to show that he understood and that he had no plan of hurting the kid, not that he can or anybody can for that matter. Good, then finish your drink and leave some tip before you leave. Remember my warning, old friend. At that man turned back and proceeded to head back inside the kitchen of his stall, leaving a nervous Azazil pondering to himself. Truly, what a terrifying man. Azazil shook himself as took a sip from his sake cup. I better make sure that those egotistical idiots won't try anything. Though not like that kid would need protection. With his reputation, only those disbelieving idiots would dare challenge him. It was 30 minutes later when Azazil left, leaving a considerable amount of cash as a tip and as payment for the 4 bottles of sake that he drank. From the kitchen the man came out to the counter once again to clean the counter table and to pick up the wad of cash Azazil left. I know you're there, come out now. From the corner of the room, a shadow appeared before taking the form a young, attractive yet strange-looking girl. I want you to return back and send a message. Relay everything that you have heard to the higher-ups. Gotcha. With that the girl disappeared as if she was never there. First the Iwo Jima incident. Now all those people living in that village near the forest got annihilated because of the kid's magic. Man, we'll need to cover this up again. Just how troublesome can you be, you brat? The man shook his head with a fond smile. You're so much like your grandfather that it's not funny anymore. Achoo. Nya. The startled Chomuske dodged to the side to evade the snot and spit that was the result from her master's sneezing. Careful, Mon. I wonder who's talking about me. I wonder if it is a fan. Naruto mumbled to himself as he sat comfortably inside the bullet train, though he's the only one riding it since it was owned by the Heaven faction. It usually reserved for important people to use, but considering his prestige and fame he's allowed to use it to his heart content. Within reason, of course. He cannot bring it to the underworld or use it when going to other factions' realms. He once got reprimanded when he tried to use it to go to the Greek pantheons. You have fans? I doubt it, Chomuske retorted with a deadpan while Naruto pouted. Come on. There's probably 1 or 2, after all I am the great Uzumaki Naruto-sama. Naruto crossed his arm with a grin on his face while laughing. Nishishishi. How self-centered, Chomuske thought, annoyed at her master's antics, and simply shook her head. Nyrin. Chomuske tilted her head when she saw her usually goofy master's expression turning serious, and he glanced at the sword laying on top of the sit in front of them. It was a Japanese katana-looking sword, though it might look like a katana, but it was not an ordinary one. Its blade is so thin it looked like it would break with just one swing. It was as if it was made of glass due to one's reflection being seen. Aim no Ohabari, the legendary sword used by the Shinto god Izanagi to slay his own offspring Kagusuchi, but there are also rumor going on that he did not slay his own spawn but instead sealed him within the sword to stop its rampage. It was said that whoever gains the sword's acceptance, whatever that means, will become the master of Kagusuchi. Naruto-kun, the leader of the Seraphs Michael, walked in front of him holding a sword once again. I want to thank you for all the contribution you have made for the Heavens factions. For all of that we have decided to give you a reward. I want you to take this sword. With the whole Seraph's approval we decided to grant you this sword, the legendary sword Aim no Ohabari. May it serve you well in battle, though while we still haven't lifted the sword ban, this one particular sword is an exception, okay? Naruto's lips formed a thin line as he gazed at the sword. Why does the church have this? Isn't this supposed to be at a shrine dedicated for Izanagi in Japan? Knowing that thinking too much about it will not help him, he simply shook his head and decided to take a nap. Once he did so, Chomuske opened her eyes to take a peek at him before closing once again. It seems Master is starting to get suspicious. It won't be long now. Oh well. I guess I'll enjoy this break as much as I can. Who knows what kind of chaos this stupid master of mine will do next. It's been a long time since they last came home with their pockets full, since they would usually spend their reward on rebuilding all the damages her stupid master have done. Last time they spent all their reward for funeral. Of course the church told her master that all his reward money was taken to rebuild the island he destroyed, but she knew for a fact that it was used to compensate for the families of all those whom died during one of her stupid master's rampage. She cannot exactly blame them for trying to hide that fact from her master. They just like her doesn't want her master to go into a slump because of it and wanted him to be in perfect condition, so if something wrong happened they would be able to rely on him. It was a wide decision if they ask her, so she kind of agree with all their cover-ups. Though for some reason the Heavens faction looks like they are clueless about it too. They must really be good at acting to hide that from her master. Though they didn't need to go so far since her master probably wouldn't notice it since his brain is filled with nothing but destruction. If only her master's brain would self-destruct and would turn him normal. Oh well, not my problem. Thanks for watching.